I think I had my near-death experience in kindergarten when I was 4 or 5. I was born and reared in Quito, Ecuador, known for its sunny days. I recall running around the schoolyard and sliding down the slide during recess. I was headbutted by another child as I ran across the yard. I scowled at him in anger, claiming it was an accident. He looked at me in amazement. I was nauseated and had a severe headache when I got home from school. I was not hungry at midday. My mother and visiting cousin showed concern after hearing how I was feeling. My mom wondered what happened that morning. Her cousin insisted I see a doctor immediately. I don't remember anything before the NDE. My parents notified me of the concussion diagnosis afterward. My mom says I rested at home for a week after the skull blow. I don't recall anything about that period except one of the most spectacular and strange sensations. I woke to complete darkness. I understood I was no longer in my bedroom since the area outside my door was larger, less enclosed, and bordered by night, like a starry, moonless night. Despite not seeing anything, I envisioned myself in my parents' bed with the closet there and my room's door at the other end, mirroring their bedroom layout. Since I was in uncharted territory, I couldn't make sense of it. Whatever you call it, youngsters can be scared to wake up somewhere new. I was alone in a mysterious place, but I was not afraid. I felt protected, comfortable, and intrigued. I didn't know what was going on because neither my parents' house nor my bedroom had a light like the one on me at night. The apartment building had a little dimly lit garden next to our dorm room. Who put that outdoor electric lamp up? It made me wonder. Light became more apparent. It sounded emerald. It formed a tunnel instead of a bulb. Its radiation changed direction like a sluggish, uneven swirl. It also made a low hum that, when I listened intently, became virtually audible. That was my only uneasy moment, but I felt I could manage its volume, and I reduced it to the inaudible mutter of a phantom throng. Looking along the light tube, I felt connected to nature. I felt welcome and comfortable. I felt warm and generously embraced. I can't tell if thinking about it brought the light closer or drew me closer. Since I was unaware of my body, I didn't walk or get out of bed. 4 dark figures appeared before me as the light tunnel approached. 4 shadowy beings appeared. The light obscured their faces, expressions, and identities as they stood in front of it. I was at peace with them despite their obstruction. I felt their pain without knowing who they were. 2 were motherly to me. Both ladies looked like my earthly mother, but I couldn't determine which one. Because they cared about me, the third presence worried about my well-being. My dad was my only guess. The 4th figure was a guardian near the tunnel light. I assumed it was the doctor. Therefore, I tried to put myself in the shoes of a child to understand all that happened to me there. Memories from my corporeal life may help me understand this endless, distant universe. I also knew what I was doing and could see how reason was explaining each element based on its real-life past. I knew it outside my parents' apartment. I knew none of the 4. I understood I was in a magical universe where time did not exist, and we all came from. It was beautiful and amazing. Home was intimate, loving, and familiar. Speaking began with a powerful voice. I thought the 4th image was the concussion doctor talking to the other 3. The voice's source was unknown. Possibly it came from the illumination. No words were spoken, but the message was clear. I instantly recognized it was going for me. I'm still thinking about the amazing voice and gentle lights. Close my eyes and I can hear them. Indeed, my near-death message has become increasingly unintelligible with time. I only recall fragments. Someone may have told me to forget most of it, especially my earthly fate. It may be disappointing, but I wasn't frustrated because I couldn't remember what was shown or recognize the 4 digits. I remember my near-death experience with love, enthusiasm, and inquiry. I've yet to unravel the mystery. Sometimes I consider it an existential luxury. The strong, profound voice that came to me during my NDE has guided me to ask questions and examine human existence with purpose, wonder, and relevance for most of my adult life. I interpreted my NDE using first-hand accounts and childhood memories. I remember being instructed to return to this world after the NDE, which seemed awful. I thought my near-death experience gave me pacifism as a child, but I was wrong. The message I got is a mix of ideas and principles that work. I once heard that life is a gift from God to grow and serve others. Sharing is better than hoarding, and we should leave this life modestly and simply. We should repay nature's kindness. We shouldn't fear death, evil, sorrow, and loneliness because they're temporary. Since we are all connected in a loving and merciful oneness, we should not expect punishment or judgment. Humor, creativity, travel, and change can enhance learning. As noted, the pitch black dimension I entered was more beautiful, kind, and amazing than I could have imagined. I did not want to return to my physical body. This seemed some persuading was needed. I'll never forget the voice telling me to go back and help the two people in front of me. I didn't understand this because as a child, I was used to adults taking care of me. I felt safe returning to bed, knowing the two beings would watch over me. I returned because I distorted the statistics to my liking. Rolling over to sleep erased the vision. After my concussion, I found my mom in the kitchen a few days later. I wanted to confirm my week-long sleep after hearing it. I wondered who had visited me. Mom stared at me oddly. Yes, the doctor had been at our house to check on you. I thought it odd that they did it at night, but I didn't say anything. Next, I wondered if my grandpa visited. My mother stopped her work, looked at me suspiciously, and asked why I was asking such probing questions. Naturally, the family was worried. She demanded, "Why are you asking?" I said that, "Ignore that." I left the kitchen quickly. What happened was puzzling. Over 50 years later, I still struggle to explain what occurred to me. It is natural that I was too young to inform my parents or comprehend that I had died and returned to a world without honesty, love, and transcendence. So I kept that occurrence a secret from everyone, including myself, for a long time. I sometimes dwelled on my near-death experience because I saw personality changes. I was more intuitive, sensitive to others' feelings, in tune with smaller children, and less comfortable in large gatherings. I witnessed those changes alone. I had normal teen struggles, insomnia, trauma from watching violent news, an insatiable yearning for wisdom and insight, and a learning reversal where the internal was more real than the external. At 14, I was introduced to philosophical materialism, which made matters worse. I started seeing the world as physical processes interacting. After considering my near-death experience, NDE, I concluded it was a hallucination caused by the concussion and brain oxygen depletion. Physiology and psychology will explain. I ignored it entirely. In the ensuing decade, I buried my past, drank myself to death, and tried to forget. Philosophy and materialism filled my life with fear and rage, perhaps due to bad literature and insufficient therapy. I stumbled through the inevitable tough process of growing up. Self-anesthetic drinking helped me cope with a confusing, shallow, and contradictory bodily world since I hadn't met writers who challenged me. Two minor events in my 20s brought me back to my NDE. A multicolored tunnel of light at a laser display reminded me of a childhood sight. Second, after taking marijuana, I got a vivid visual of myself at 4. I was stoned and absolutely delusional. The child's honest confession of his rage and dissatisfaction with the adult he had become wasn't an out-of-body, transcendent, or spectacular experience. I had prioritized ignoring my near-death lesson. These encounters triggered a spiritual revival, a review of the past, and a search for intellectual attention that matches my value of being. I am 53, married, and the proud father of 2 lovely children. After accepting what happened, I can recount the narrative quietly. My near-death experience was the most real, transcendent, and profound insight I have had in this world. Enfian's, Raymond Moody, P. Image at Water, and Bruce Grayson's writings were found. I have read many near-death situations and can attest that there is a community of people who can connect to the exceptional event, its aftermath, and reintegration. Therapy and support groups taught me the value of validation and acceptance. Though I don't know who the 4 people I met were, I try to remember their message, which has stuck with me. I don't tell anyone what the deep voice told me since I don't think it's happened yet. I also believe the message should be an individual's journey, not imposed or taught, as we all have difficult journeys. If death is the only eternal entity after Heraclitus and one who does not die does not exist, according to Egyptian mythology, it must be a mirage. We've covered today's event. As usual, comment what you think. Be safe and blessed till we meet again.